And it's Tuesday and it's 10 o'clock, and that means it's time for another Tom and Shane podcast. Hey, we'd like to welcome everyone. Hey, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I mean, it just takes a second. There's a 10% chance you won't fall out of an air balloon. If you hit the subscribe button,
True.
ring the ring the notification bell. You'll always be notified of our next podcast. And of course, like us, leave a comment because YouTube moves us up the search if that happens. So we hope you'll do that for us. Also, if you'd like to support us monetarily, Patreon is the way to do it. There's a link in the description below on YouTube and Facebook both. And we are brought to you by StreamYard. And how hard can it be if I can do it? I'm working it right now. So there's a link to a free a version of that in the description below on YouTube. So check that out. All right, Shane. Boy, we've got a full docket today. We're going to talk about forgive student loans. Should we forgive student loans? That is the question. What do you think?
Well, it's a moot point. 92% of the $1.7 trillion owned by student loans is held by the U.S. government. And what we need to do is talk about what the solution is for the U.S. government to resolve that issue. We get this misguided suggestion of canceling it, or in the case of Biden's policy, not charging interest for a while. But at the end of the day, payments are based on annual income of people that have taken out student loans and the family size. It's all regulated because it's government. And after 20 or 25 years of making payments, the remaining balance can be forgiven. So it's one of these situations that we want to talk about because obviously $1.7 trillion in debt on the U.S. balance sheet is not a good thing. But let's talk about how it came about and what the numbers are.
Yeah. Well, right now, as you pointed out, we got 1.7 trillion in student debt. We've got average student loan of $39,000 per loanee, 43 million of them, or 45 million, I should say, and 99% of them or 95% of them have loan debt. So I guess should that be forgiven or not? On that side of the ledger, a lot of people who've paid their student loans say, "No, I paid mine.
That's right.
It shouldn't be forgiven. So why should why should these people get off the hook when I worked my butt off and worked 3 jobs and whatever to pay mine off? And I've got a degree and I paid for it." So I think a lot of people feel that way. The other thing too is that the other side of this coin with student loans thing is that they're talking about free tuition as well for colleges. And to my way of thinking, that's going to put a lot of people in college classrooms who don't have any business being there. And I got chastised on Facebook for that. Who doesn't belong there? Well, as we all know, there are a lot of people who barely get through high school, and probably the only reason they got through high school is that the teachers maybe felt sorry for them and put them through regardless. So,
Well, one of the
sorry,
great ways, one of the great ways of solving this problem is simple. Simple
Mhm.
solutions to big problems. Okay, here it is. The U.S. government should pass legislation because they do a lot of funding of private and public colleges.
Mhm.
That any school that has an endowment fund of more than some amount, say 500 million or whatever they're holding,
Yeah.
you can't charge tuition.
Mhm.
So now it becomes a case of eligibility. And then the US government, in that piece of legislation, establishes the eligibility.
Right.
So if you're going to have people after high school want to go to a undergraduate type of situation, they can go then to a community college or a state and local college. So in that legislation, you put in there that it's up to the states to decide what, if any, tuition is in their state colleges or their community
Mhm.
colleges solves the problem.
Mhm.
And that right now when you have law schools, of course, the most famous one, $29 trillion, 29 billion rather, 29 billion in an endowment fund. I mean, they can rebuild that school like 20 times. They don't need to charge outrageous fees for people to go to school there. And the people that have graduated from that particular legal school, we all know what it is. The people will continue to contribute to the endowment fund, probably more, knowing that they're paying for the cost of people to go to school there. A lot of these colleges are built in parts of cities, urban areas that there's really nowhere to expand, and they're not going to tear down some of these schools because they're heritage schools, and maybe build some glass towers over a couple of buildings like they do with churches, in urban areas. So the easy solution to a big problem, we have the biggest solution coming up, which we'll talk about, in the last 5 or 10 minutes. But yeah, that's my position on it. Make
Mhm.
these endowment funds cover the cost of people going to school, legislate it, and it's great because the government say, oh, and by the way, we don't have any reason to give these schools tax exemption or lend them any
Mhm.
more money. I
Mhm.
mean, we'll lend it to schools that we think require the money, like the African American schools that Trump contributed to, because you know
Mhm.
they would come every year and see him after this, the second year and say, why do you people keep coming back? Well, we don't have money. What do you mean you don't have money? Every school, no, not us. And he
Mhm.
legislated it and got it through. But
Yeah.
there you go. Simple
Mhm.
solutions is what we're looking for.
Yeah, Trump gave more to black colleges than any president in history, including Obama. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so
Woe
that's
is me.
yeah,
Woe is me.
yeah. Well, I know in some states like California, New York, Florida, Texas, whatever, some of the I think at the state level it would work. I'm not sure how it would work in Montana, Wyoming, where there's not a big population of taxpayers to fund these colleges. Um, some federal money I think is needed for some states. Alaska being another one that would has a pretty low population. So, but yeah, I agree with you. I think uh, you know there there are people again, and I'm going to emphasize this that I'm all for. I'm all for people getting an education who can take that education and do something with it. But there are also some people who, just, I mean, look at the people who don't make it through 4 years now, Shane.
That's right. And
You
and,
know,
and end up with a debt. That's right.
yeah, they end up with a debt. They, and as I say, to the people who have got out and done 3 jobs or 4 jobs or whatever to pay their debt off, um, is it fair to those people to have this debt just wiped off the plates of these people, and
Well, and and
they're home free.
and we got here because in 2005, banks stopped lending to students. Basically, I mean, there are some cases now where they are, but it's very expensive with high interest rates. So the U.S. government took it over. The first was the Federal Perkins Loan Act, of course, named after the U.S. House of Representative from Kentucky, member
Hmm. Yeah.
Perkins,
Hmm.
and they started, lending money out. And the great thing about this type of loan, the Perkins loan, based on credits and are based on ability,
Hmm.
it was a base 5% loan, but it grew so quickly, within 10 years, 12 years, in 2017, September 30th, 2017, your federal government stopped funding it. So those went away. Then they had the Federal Family Education Loan Program. And this was part of an act that actually goes back to 1965, but it really didn't start taking off until again, after banks stopped lending, and it grew rather quickly,
Hmm.
and 6.5 million students owe 56 billion on this. But again, the Healthcare and Education, I love this, Reconciliation Act of 2002 stopped or terminated payment to the funding for that. So that went away. So so the impact on education since those two programs has changed considerably. and that's where the additional debt has come from, which is about 800. What is it, 800 million?
Yeah.
Because
Hmm.
they've had to take out personal loans or not,
Hmm.
personal loans, maybe from family or friends, or a bank debt loan if they can. Remember, the important aspect of this is that 89% of these loans are undergraduate, meaning the first 4 years.
Hmm.
11 to 12% represent graduate students, going on for a second degree or going on to get a doctorate in some type of passion of theirs, or even going on to higher education to be lawyers or doctors or dentists and so forth.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. Some of the liberal arts loans, you're,
Yeah.
you're probably not going to be the curator of a museum. There aren't that many of them. So, you know.
Well, that's right, and the medical industry is tough because pre-med's
Mhm.
4 years, and then you
Mhm.
go on to med school for 2 years, become a resident to determine the type of medicine you want to pursue, and that could be another 2 years to depending on how complicated it is, whether you want to just
Mhm.
deal with emergency, be an emergency room doctor or basic
Mhm.
surgery. But if you want to go on to some type of major surgery, you can be basically 10 years in,
Mhm.
paying to learn that skill. So that's the difficulty. Lawyers are the same, 4 years pre-law. Law school can be anywhere from 2 to 4 years, depending on the type of law that you go into. So if you're pursuing the higher income jobs in
Mhm.
the first world, you're looking at upwards between 8 and 10 years of legal costs, and of course you're going to the best schools, and their annual fees can be anywhere from 150,000 a year, depending on where you go.
I was going to say, you come out with a specialist degree of some kind, you're going to be in six figures
Oh
doing
yeah, you're
this.
easily
So,
going to be $2 to $4 million in debt
hmm,
easily. Yes.
that's for true. That's so true. Dave says that an existing low cost alternative education path already exists. Start with junior college, and after completing the basic requirements, then move on to a senior college or a 4 year institution. And that's exactly what I did, Dave. I did exactly that. I went to junior college first and then a full blown university. So,
And 80 to 82% of the high school graduates don't go to college. They go on to a job they may already have and continue there.
mm-hmm.
And that's why one of the great successes of these mega franchises, the U.S. developed over the last 50 years, if in the food industry and so forth, were such a great thing because kids could go to work there, flexible hours, going to college, or excuse me, high school. My girl started working at 16. I told them go out and get a job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm no more weekly allowance. You want spend, and they did. My one daughter went and got a job as a cashier at Safeway and did exceedingly well. My other daughter went in the restaurant business, which she liked because she got cash every day,
Yep,
right?
that's right.
So
Yeah.
she continued on in the restaurant industry. My older daughter, because of her enjoyment of it, and they're both outgoing people, very friendly, and then at 23, she decided to go into medicine,
Mhm.
and so it worked well for her. She moved to Kamloops with Thompson University here and went into medical school and had a job at a great resort year
Mhm.
round. So, it was there year round for her, and it had flexible hours. So, she could go to school and work. And my other daughter, she went off to Australia and got in the movie business. So, there you
Mhm.
go. Pursue your passions. That's why I always say, live to work, work to live. If you get up every day and you live to work because you're doing something you have passion and love for, you'll want to do it. You want to jump out of bed and
Yeah.
go and work. But if you work to live, you're
Mhm.
working for the man, and
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But your scope of advancement or success will obviously depend on your ability to do your job well and get along with others.
Yeah. Yeah. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life, is the
That's
old
correct.
saying that
That's right.
we, we've all heard from our parents for years. So,
Well, I tried to teach my children that. I hope
yeah.
it worked.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that we're in here, let's finish off with this, and then I think we should end the program with a comment about
Mhm,
Elon Musk, because pat us on our back. We
mhm,
made this call on this a month ago,
mhm,
and we were right. So I think we're entitled to, take a bow and thank all the people following us, and tell others we were right again, because we really appreciate it. Thomas told you how. So my solution to this problem is very simple. If you get the opportunity to prove to your federal government that you'll pay the loan, so they
mhm,
pass legislation saying, whatever your loan is, you show a willingness to pay 10% off in a year. So 35,000, that's $3,500 a month. So that's like $300 a month, or and you pay it off. Well, you've got two institutions in the government, Freddie Mae and Fannie Mac. And both of these are institutions set up to lend money to people, just like a student that has a loan.
mhm,
And the great thing about it is that you know when you look at this, you go, wow, this is a pretty good deal. And the reason it's a pretty good deal is that if you get a flexible Freddie Mac home from the government, it's only a 3% requirement down. So if you've been paying to the government 10% in that year, then 3%. The government says, here, instead of even paying anything down because you paid off your loan, we'll give you three, four, $500,000 at a reasonable rate and fix it so it doesn't they don't get hammered by interest, and consolidate your student loan into that loan, and you can go out and buy a two, $300,000 home, have 100,000 in the bank to fix it up, or for you to get going, and now you're part of the American dream. You can do the same thing with Freddie Mac.
mhm,
They have established guidelines, but Freddie Mac is great because you only
mhm,
are required a 660 or higher credit score. So that's middle range, and most people that have been paying off their
mhm,
10% a year to the government on their student debt will increase their credit score, because
mhm,
the credit agencies will see they're paying off the debt, and all of a sudden, bam, they'll be
mhm.
in a position to get a Freddie Mae or Fannie Mac loan, and as I said, become a part of the American dream.
Yeah,
Simple solution, big problem, and
yeah,
now guess what? $1.6 trillion is off your debt.
yeah.
Off, gone. It's gone. Solved. You
All right.
didn't have to give it up. You didn't have to pay it.
All right.
Don't have to try and collect it. And everyone involved, you Margaret Thatcher did something similar to this with all the brownstones they had that the government built in London after rebuilding the city after World War II, and it was public housing. People moved in, they made monthly payments, and when she became prime minister, she said, these anybody that's been in one of these now for 20 years, everything they pay goes towards a mortgage of what the balance is that we're going to say it is. Government's going to give them the loan at a flat interest rate, and tens of thousands
Mhm.
of British people were now landowners. They had,
Yeah.
as you say, they had something in the fight, right?
Mhm.
They had meat in the game, or whatever the expression is.
All right. We got a lot of comments coming in here, Shane. We got to get these
Good. Let's
comments
do
out of
it.
the way.
Let's
So
do it.
let's
Let's
do
do it.
this. Wayne says, I agree. That's what our daughter did in 2024 for her educational degree. 2 years at Northern Michigan College, very affordable, and then her last 2 years at Spring Harbor Ferris State. Dave weighs in again. One of the best predictors for success is completing a 4 year degree. Is for the student to be employed and contributing their costs as they go. Students with no skin in the game are far more likely to drop out.
And another point that Dave makes there too, that we should qualify, is that the 70-year record of college graduates show that over
Mhm.
85% of them go on to the opportunity of a better middle income to lower upper income, even, because, or
Yeah.
middle up, they go
Hmm.
from a 5-figure to a 6-figure job in their life because of it.
Yeah. Craig says, how come nobody's addressing the cost of college? Textbooks are a racket. Professors get kickbacks and can't resell them. I know you can buy used books
I was
at
just going to say,
colleges.
yeah.
At every college, they have a used book place that will cut the cost of books
Oh
to the
yeah, and
immigrant.
other students
Yeah,
will sell to you there, but why they're
sure.
not going to keep them. So
Yeah.
yeah, if they can get 50% of their
Mhm.
money back,
Yeah,
hey,
as
come
long as
on,
it's the right one.
Yeah.
So
Oh, by the way, that's part of the underground market. We got to remember that $1.2 trillion we talked about, that black market.
there you are. Question for Shane: have college education costs increased so dramatically in Canada? So
That they have the remarkable
Mm,
statistic on that since 1950. You'll all be happy to know the single greatest increase in education have been the administrators, not,
mhm,
not only in public schools but in private school colleges. Get it, sit down for this one, folks. 700% increase since 1950 in administrator salaries. So,
mhm.
you're talking in 70 years, they've gotten like 100%. I mean, like,
Yeah.
or whatever,
Mhm,
700%. That's astounding. But that's really the hidden cost of why education is so expensive.
that's true. Craig says $500 textbooks and professors require new books, and students can resell their used books. And
Mhm.
I might point out that I myself wrote a textbook that was used at not one, but two U.S. universities. Thank you very much.
I went to university for 6 years and I never paid for a book. I mean, at the bookstore, you know, I bought them from other people, and it
Mhm.
was great because they had study notes, like you said, and
Yeah,
we had,
everything's
yeah,
lined out, all the things you need
that's right.
are
And
highlighted.
I'm a speed reader, so
Yeah.
I the reason I
Mhm.
did well in school is because I would just continually read any books I was required to, like in
Yeah.
the entire book. Like I just
Yeah. I did well in school because I was a world class ass kisser of the of the teachers
and a great athlete.
and a great athlete too.
There you go, buddy. Yeah. Mm.
Both things going for me. So
Yeah, it works for you.
I don't know. The only degree I have is a third degree. I got that several times.
That's right. Yeah, those honeydew lists, those
That's
weekend. Yeah, that's
that's for
right. Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So let's see. Got a couple other things on here. MSU professors require newest editions of math books, and students cannot resell them because next semester requires a new book, and those books are hundreds of dollars. So,
The only problem
eh,
with that today, with the social networking, they're all online now, Tom.
yeah, I was going to
Yeah,
say, yeah, that's
yeah, they're all
it's
online.
yeah, it's not the big deal that it was, but yeah, the stuff, yeah, your books and things can be pricey.
And
With
if you want to give your child or grandchild a great book when they graduate high
Mhm,
school to go
mhm,
off in life,
mhm.
whether they go on to college or not, The Art of War. Okay, it's a simple
Yeah,
little
there
book.
you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and number two, The Greatest Salesman in the World.
Mhm.
Two little books, single most bestsellers,
Yeah.
aside from the Bible ever. So you should give either all three of those
Mhm.
books or two of those books to your graduating children or grandchildren or great grandchildren.
Yeah. So, all right. StreamYard says we're having a problem connecting to LinkedIn. So,
Who's that? I don't know.
I don't know who they are over there. So, I don't
Uh,
know. You don't know you don't realize the hoops you have to jump through to get on LinkedIn to begin with. Holy mackerel!
oh, and
I had
used
to
to. I
submit
used to, but don't go there now. It's
I had to submit about 40,000 billion things to them. So
no,
okay.
it's
Anyway,
that's a professional work site for people
mm,
looking for work and want to share
mhm,
information or get answers, with regards to business principally.
yeah,
It's basically a businessman's Facebook, right?
yeah. Obviously, Shane had taken a course at MSU lately. You went to MSU, actually, didn't you,
I
Shane?
did indeed. I did
Yeah,
indeed. Yep.
they still use books. Lessons are online, but textbooks are still required, and they cost way too much. So, well, that may
Well,
be, I don't know.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Well, it's like when you go to the hospital, the aspirin's $80. I mean, there's more tied into the cost of the book than just the book itself.
Yeah, when you go to the hospital, it's BYOB. Bring your own bucks, right?
Yeah, Yeah. Well, if they'll let you bring them, that's the thing. They got to log it all in. And
Yeah.
is this your personal medicine? And no, we won't allow that. And you can't have this and whatever. So,
Well, the great thing is you
yeah.
can't review your bill, and so you can't even check to see, did I take a medicine? Did I take an aspirin?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
What day
know,
was
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know. We're
But whatever.
digressing away from student loans into the medical.
Uh, okay, let's not. If we're going to
Yeah.
digress, let's talk briefly about Mulan. He pulled it off.
Hmm. Yeah.
Great bid. He forced the hand of the board. They're incompetent. There's no question. His lawyers made that clear to them. They're all liable now.
Hmm.
I mean, and they did this because the numbers come out this week on Twitter, and
Hmm.
they're going to be terrible. And that board is in deep trouble. Anyone who was a member of the board Musk
Hmm.
is seriously liable for the mismanagement. So that's a great thing. He's going to take it private, which means anyone that owns any shares gets paid what he
Hmm.
offered. Meaning anyone who bought it when it dropped under that price has made money.
Hmm.
People that bought it for a higher price and kept onto it, institutions would they can go after the previous board for the difference.
Yeah.
But the important thing is, this is a great win, and it's going to be great
Hmm.
for us to watch it. We will, folks, over the coming months. We'll keep you posted.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why there's such fear. There was the same fear when Trump was elected. Oh my God, he's going to go nuts and who knows what's going to happen. And the market dropped and everybody went crazy. And it was much better than anyone could have imagined. So,
Well, I think Trump has a platform called One America or
mhm.
America First.
America first. Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw the fellow that he hired to run it, and they're saying he's going to stay there. He's not going back to Twitter,
Mhm.
but that's okay because Elon Musk has 80 million people,
Yeah.
and the great thing is guess who's tied into this? Government
Mhm.
people, entertainment people, legal people,
Mhm.
people that have a following. So
Mhm.
the board never took up the idea recommended 2 years ago by a person they paid millions of dollars to come in and suggest what to do. And he said, "Well, charge these. I mean,
Mhm.
and not a small amount. You can charge because anybody else isn't not going to go. There's several thousand people right now that work for Twitter. That increased drastically, with Trump
Mhm.
and their restriction of it. So it's an automated system. I would bet between 60. Well, I think 30% of the people will leave just because they don't like they don't like Elon, and he'll probably get rid of another 30-40% because it's all automated, and then charge somewhere between $5-10 a month for people to use Twitter and
Oh, he's not
here.
going to charge. No, there's no social media that's going to charge you to use it.
Oh, I
That's a death. That's a death knell.
I'm not saying he has to. I'm trying to perceive what the possibilities are, Tom.
Well, that's an impossibility.
Okay. Well, there you go. You don't think so? I do. We'll see what happens.
Well, Facebook hasn't charged. LinkedIn doesn't charge. Parlor
Well, yeah,
doesn't charge.
but they sell advertising, and Musk has said that he doesn't think that.
He's taking the company private.
Yeah, so he's not going to have any advertising on it.
No,
So yeah,
yeah, and that's another reason
Mulan's a capitalist. No,
that's another person. The reason for people to join.
yeah, but he's a capitalist.
Well, okay. So what?
Mulan does not give. I mean, Musk does not give, stuff away. I mean,
Well, he's not gonna. Well, if he charges for Twitter, then you're gonna see it go the way of MySpace.
well, then that's where it goes. He
Yeah.
doesn't care.
Well,
The
he's
bottom
got.
line is
He's also got other people in this besides himself. He's not
nope. So
using all of his own money.
no. He's on the hook. He's got banks but he's guaranteed all those loans. No, this is his 42 million. He
No,
has
I.
some. He has some investors, but I mean, it's a very small
Yeah.
portion that will not interfere with what he wants to do. And
Well, they may not interfere, but they may take exception if thing starts going south and their
well,
investment's in trouble.
they can always go to him and offer to sell their debt, or what they
Yeah.
owe to him. But
Yeah.
it'll be private, and that's the only way they'll be able to get out. If
Well,
he,
yeah, and they'll get out for pennies on the dollar too. So.
well, yeah, that's a risk you take. The other success is that if it works and he remodels it in 2 years, he'll take it public again.
Yeah.
That's what buyouts usually do. When they buy a company out, they clean it up, they change the board, They,
Yeah.
infuse money into it, expand it, make acquisitions, and then all the
Yeah.
stock they bought to fund it. It needs 2 years to get to
Yeah.
age, to become free trading. It takes 2 years, and then 2 to 3 years later, they take it back public, and bam, away you go. Now I can sell.
Yeah. I don't see him selling it.
I'm just
No, I know. I'm not disagreeing with you. You stated your point of view. I'm stating mine.
okay.
I'm not arguing with you.
Oh, okay.
I'm just giving my opinion. You gave yours. Okay.
All right, buddy. Fair play.
My opinion is if I've got control of social media and I've got control of what goes out over the airways that I want to say, I'm keeping that.
Oh,
I'm
he's
not
not getting.
selling
No,
it.
he has no interest in interfering with what it goes out over the airways. He's going to open it up to the airways, and he's going to open up the algorithms to the airways,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it'll be a free speech platform.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I think that there may be limited things. Like I don't think they're going to allow pornography on it. And I don't think they're going to allow you know. Executions on. I mean, there'll be
Yeah. No,
certain
I know.
things that
there's going to
there'll
be
be
some
certain
restrictions. Sure.
guidelines.
Yeah. No, there's going to be some restrictions, but
Yeah.
as there should be. But
Although
I
I
think
think
if I had a platform that I could control, that I could put out what I personally want to put out, I'm not giving that up. I'm not selling it.
that's true. I'd like to make one observation. I think the videos that ISIS released, did vast harm to whatever their claim was or what they were for. Or what I mean, it just made people sick. So when Trump took his action and basically wiped them
Mhm.
out, no, yeah, everybody went, "Yay, yeah, these people are sick." I mean, that
Mhm.
that was really bad stuff. So there you go.
Yeah. Do you think Musk will allow hate speech propaganda? I hope so. I hope he does.
No, I everything he's done in the past, everything you've seen him do in his life says,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because it should be up to the reader as to what's hateful and what's not. And it
yeah,
should be up
that's
to
right.
the reader what's propaganda and what's not. Should be up to the reader as to what's misinformation and what's not.
That's right, and you could qualify stuff by having a tag. If it's disinformation, they put a tag up, and you click on the tag. This is not true, right? Stuff like that.
Well, that's what I say.
And
If
yeah,
you think it's misinformation up there, then you have the right to comment on it and say, "Hey,
exactly.
this is disinformation." And here's my link, or here's my proof, or here's the the source that debunks it.
Well, there's that famous saying, right? Never make a comment. Keep your mouth shut. If you open it, you'll show what a kind of a fool you are. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, what you're looking for is you see people on there making claims that are found out to be not true, and that's a good thing. I mean, it's just important to discredit people and not humble them, but shame them. I think one of
Mhm.
the greatest losses in the last 60 years is shame. We don't shame people. We don't make people accountable. So now we have this social network, global social network that allows people to be shamed by their own words, and I think that's a very positive thing.
Well, that's what happened with social media. At least in the beginning, you could rebut,
That's right.
things you disagreed with, and now the censors come in and say, "Oh, your rebuttal is wrong politically, so we're not going to post that." So the misinformation keeps on going.
Well, once Elon sets the protocol, once he sets the standards, once he sets the guidelines, guess what happens to every other platform? They got to follow the same thing.
No, they don't.
Well, no, I'm not saying they will. I said they gotta.
No,
So meaning over time they probably will, because all of a sudden people will look at Facebook and go, I'm gonna go find a different platform or whatever,
no.
whatever the platform is. You have this stuff that's wide open like TikTok, right? And I've spent very little time on TikTok,
No.
maybe an hour. since it's been around. Like
it's a Chinese propaganda tool.
exactly, and
Well,
it's mud for young people's minds, as
yeah,
far as I'm concerned.
yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah, but I'll tell you, I don't see NBC or MSNBC or CNN following Fox's lead, and I don't see Facebook and any of the others following Twitter's lead.
Okay, we'll see. It's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to seeing how, and
Me
because
too.
this guy moves at the lightest speed. I mean,
Yep.
like his rockets, man. He is
Yeah.
no as it look. No grass grows under Elon Musk's feet. Okay, so this is a race.
Mhm.
It's not a nice walk.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Facebook has the biggest audience, as Craig points out, obviously, and everybody knows that. But still, Zuckerberg is not going to become the free speech champion because of his politics.
Yeah, well, let's
His
look back.
politics will not allow him to do that.
Let's look.
And he's already lost how many billions when he
Right.
went to Meta, and the stock went from 300 down to below 200.
Going to 1.25, baby. I told you that 4 months ago.
Yep.
But let's not forget that Facebook was the first platform, and we know the history of the networks: ABC, NBC, and CBS, where they ended. They had all of it too, and fool's gold for them because they didn't manage it well. And now it's all gone. So CNN comes along. Wow, boom, huge. Every airport, every home. Look where it is now. It's in the wastebasket. Why? Mismanagement. So let's see
Oh,
how.
no question. Yeah, no question.
Let's see how Facebook ends up. He's got serious problems. He's losing followers seriously, and global people are not picking up on it like they were in the last 20 years. But he was the first platform, and Coca-Cola was the first Coke.
Yeah. So there you are. So, yep, that's where we are.
And now PepsiCo is the largest restaurant business in the world. So.
Yeah. Well, that's why they came out with new Coke, because Pepsi was beating them up in the supermarkets. So,
and they didn't shoot both. They didn't shoot themselves. They didn't shoot themselves in the foot. They blew their feet off.
I was going to say, yeah,
they had to sew the feet back on and go back to the original. Yeah, the original sauce. Yeah, as it were. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we got away from student loans a little bit, but hopefully it's still entertaining. Podcast. So,
well, listen, buddy, you deserve a pat on your shoulder. I'm going to pat myself on the shoulder about Elon Musk. Good call, pal. We did it right.
All right. Coming up on Thursday, Mike McCormick's going to join us. We're going to talk about the Musk in detail. We're also going to talk about the rotten first quarter that we had recently. And we're coming out of this recession, going into the recession, actually, or already in it. From as Shane and I believe, so we're going to do that on Thursday. So
yeah, don't listen to these doughheads on financial news and everything about can you catch the bottom, folks. There's no bottom here. Okay.
Yeah.
Right now, there's no bottom.
There isn't.
They only want you to buy so they can sell short to you. All right. So don't be listening to these people.
There we go. Well, Musk and Gates are at it because Gates went short on Tesla.
I'm telling you, the call. Someone's got to get to Elon about Tesla. He's got to split it at least 10 for 1. 20 for 1 would be ideal. He's got to split it 10 for 1.
Well, he might.
By the way, the other big thing that is coming out this week is Alphabet's numbers. And we saw what happened with Netflix. I mean, the stock is now down 75%. It got slammed yesterday, went down 35% on their numbers. So let's see how Alphabet, Google is doing. That's going to be, this will be a big one, folks. If Google, Tesla's went up 2% because they had great numbers, and then they dropped 7%. Let's see what happens if Google's numbers, good or bad, how much it drops. If it drops precipitously, like 10, 15%, bam, Elon split Tesla 10 or 20 to 1.
Yeah, that'd be a buy. All right. Let's see. Hey, don't forget to subscribe. I mean, it's easy. The button's in the lower right hand corner. I mean, click it. I mean, nothing's going to happen to you. You're not going to get emails. You're not going to get notices. You're not going to get anything going on. So by all means, do that. Also, ring the notification bell. Slam that bell. That'll let you know whenever we're on again. And like us, leave a comment below. YouTube really enjoys that kind of stuff and helps us out. And if you like to support us monetarily, Patreon, there's a link in the description below. All the benefits you get for being a contributor to Tom and Shane.
That's right. And just gonna comment on what Craig said here. Next, he says Netflix is a bargain. No stock right now listed in North America is a bargain until it gets 10 times earnings. Okay, they're all dropping from 30 to 40 or more times earnings.
Yeah.
16 has always been the standard for 50 years of when to buy a stock. Netflix is below that now. I think it's at 12. Yeah. Nothing is going to be a buy for the next 6 months. So no, not a good thing. Nothing.
Nope. We're gonna. That's our story, and we're sticking to it.
Oh, thank you. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
All right. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. Thanks, everybody, for being with us. Hey, don't forget to subscribe, ring the notification bell, like us, and we will see everybody on Thursday with Mike McCormick. So bye for now.